Xin chào Phá Đảo và Việt Nam.
Xin chào các khán giả của Phá Đảo, lại là Minh Tâm đây và bên cạnh mình là có hai nhà phát triển đến từ Reanimal. Có lẽ là cũng nghe qua về tựa game rồi, đây là một tựa game có thể sẽ là big hit mới của Tarsier Studios. Vậy thì chúng ta hãy dành một vài phút để phỏng vấn hai nhà phát triển ở đây nhé. Hello, welcome, and after having some minutes experience the game, we would really want to ask you some questions regarding the game. But first, how about we can can you introduce yourself to our audience?
Yes, hello, my name's Dave Mervik and I'm the narrative director on Reanimal.
My name is Andreas Johnsson and I'm one of the co-founders of Tarsier, business developer at the studio.
It's really what a pleasure for me to have a chance to talk to two of you today. And you know, Little Nightmare is such a big title in Vietnam. People play it a lot. But today we're here to talk about Reanimal. So after having 30 minutes playing the game, I see that, let's say Reanimal has a lot that's similar to Little Nightmare. And the question is, what makes Reanimal stand on its own?
Well, really, we wanted to evolve as a studio and and see where we can push what we've created already with Little Nightmares. We kind of wanted to create something new, and this idea of co-op horror and being scared together with your friend or your loved one or a total stranger is really something that got us excited. You know, it's like watching a horror movie together with a friend. It's a different feeling than sitting on your own being terrified. So that's why we have a single player game with an AI companion, but also you can play it on the couch or you can play it online co-op. So really you can play it how you like. We love to play it on the couch though, because that's when you can grab someone and scream together. That's one of the biggest things really about Reanimal, and it's all one camera. However you play, it's one shared camera. So you always have to stay together to survive and obviously work together. It's a co-op game.
Yes, that's correct, because I have just played the game. If the other player will get too far from you, basically the game would end immediately, correct?
Well, on the demo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it lasts about half an hour, and that's just so that everyone has a chance to play, really, because it gets quite busy here. But yeah, I mean,
There are a couple of things that when making a co-op game and with a shared camera, so one camera for both characters, there are some things that you have to solve. So when you play the game, we have these really nice transitions between areas where, you know, the boy opens the door and kind of winks at yeah, exactly, come on. Yeah, exactly. And that's a way to kind of push the players together into the next area. And it looks really nice. It plays very much into the idea of being together, but it also is a very functional way of solving the problem with having just one camera. But having the one camera makes us, gives us the ability to create these very tense and atmospheric scenes. If we would have had like split screen, it would be something completely different. But having this single camera, we can push everything, every angle, everything is intentional and to make you feel something.
Talking about making a local co-op game, what is the challenge of making co-op games like Reanimal?
I think one of the main challenges is making a game that works good in single player and in co-op. That's a real challenge because if you look at some of the very popular like co-op only games, His Lights games, they can go all in and do whatever they want to because they know the ground rule here is that there's always going to be two players. Where we have to think about, okay, if I play single player, I don't want the AI to show me the way all the time. I want the AI to be a bit more passive. In co-op, it's two players kind of trying to combat who's leading or who's the follower. So there's so much more to think about, and it's a huge challenge to make something that is balanced for both.
Well, I think just to reiterate on the camera, because I think I mean, I'm in the middle of Split Fiction now at home with my wife. And it's a great game, but it also is split screen. And so you're very much doing your own thing. And what we really wanted to emphasize with this game is that it's always about working together and sharing that terror together. And so we knew from very early on that we didn't want to go split screen. And so working on that camera, making all of these different scenes work in one screen, making sure you're always together. Exactly, making sure you just underline that if you leave someone behind, even that at some point one of you will die. So, you know, that was a really, really important element for us to get right.
Like, to build tension, what new visual or audio ideas you are using in Reanimal?
Well, I guess fog. I think definitely fog is a great tool for creating an atmosphere. And lighting, you know, like what you can do with Unreal 5 lighting wise is really, really good.
Will there be a lot of jump scares?
Not a lot. It's always about balance with that, you know, because if you don't earn the jump scare, you don't get the jump scare, you know, so it's all about build up. You've got to connect with the characters, connect with the world, and start to feel that tension building up. And when you get to that right point, that's when we'll hit you with a jump scare. We won't say that for sure. But it's got to come at a point where you've earned it. Otherwise, it's not scary. Other than that, I mean, audio is a huge part of creating atmosphere and tension. You know, if you don't have really, really good sound designers and composers working on the game, you don't get that final element of a secret sauce, you know, that really kind of...
And also the character model, right? With all the bosses and all the, you know, monsters would be a factor to build the tension, right?
Yeah, I mean, our artists always come up with monsters. You don't know where they come from, do you?
It's a bit scary at times to think about that.
So they're always, you know, even in between games, you see in concept work of like, you know, this is something we think's really cool, and this is something, and then we start picking the stuff that fits together in one world. And in this one, there was lots of these kind of demented, mutated animals, which started to feel like they belonged here. So it's always like, oh, we can use this one, and it's got a cool behavior or a cool visual style. And that all builds a certain kind of a world. And that's what how we work.
And the other part of that is like hiding the face of the kids. That's something that we've always worked with in our games. Because that also creates some kind of mystery. But it also opens up for the player to imagine, what if it's me? Because, you know, you can place yourself into that character. So that's also something that adds to the atmosphere and tone of the game. But then it's also, you know, you can switch out to a different mask or whatever.
And talking about there's one thing I noticed by comparing the previous title, Little Nightmare, between Reanimal. It's basically at Little Nightmare, the fear came from being small and powerless. Basically, you don't have any weapons to come through the game, right? Is the same logic applied to Reanimal?
No, I mean, you're completely correct. In Little Nightmares, it was about scale, that you're so much smaller than everything else. Everything is distorted, and that was created the kind of contrast between you and the world, and gave that tension in Little Nightmares. In Reanimal, it's more realistic scale to things, but everything, the art style, the environment is darker and moodier in its own way. So I would say that it's still like kids, it's older kids in Reanimal though, but almost teenagers.
Yeah.
But it's about putting kids in horrific environments. So that's I would say the only common part.
Yeah.
In Little Nightmares and Reanimal.
It's not as common, I think, because if you put an adult in the middle of any situation in a game, it's very, very standard, isn't it? But like, people don't tend to do that. I mean, when I was a kid growing up, like things like Heart of Darkness, it was a very classic thing to do. Like Alex Kidd, Wonder Boy, all these very early Sega games. There was always a kid in the middle of it, and that we kind of moved away from that. And it became about muscular men and women, you know. So for us, we just kind of, that was how the Little Nightmares began. We were talking about those old games and how cool it was when kids were in the middle of it. So for us, it was just kind of, it just feels right, and it's the same here. But we wanted to explore darker themes here, which is why we raised the age of the kids to like more like teenagers. This game revolves around what connects this group of kids together, like the boy and the girl. The player characters are all out to collect their old friends. And as you go through the game, you start to piece together what's happened with this group of friends and why they're all here. And so that's what's at the core of this, really, is like discovering why this world is the way it is and why these kids have been brought here.
How are you planning for the plot of the game? Is it the factor that makes the game being a horror game? What do you think about the plot of the games? What are you planning for it?
For the plot? I mean, it's the same as we always like to kind of play out our plot with like, you know, very minimalist style, you know, like always retain that sense of mystery and intrigue so players can engage with what we've given them, but we don't tell them every last thing. We don't have a nice tidy resolution at the end so everyone understands exactly the same things in this game. You take away from it what you bring to it, and so maybe you'll think this happened because this, or I think this happened because this, and that's what's really nice. You know, there is a very, very simple story at the core of this, but it's really how much attention you pay to the world and the way the children are together, and that will tell you really what you think has happened.
And that may opens the door for theorists to have more.
I mean, imagination is a super powerful thing, right? And that's what we want players to experience. Like, what if? I think that, or what did you think about what happened in that scene? So it's a lot about creating a room for the players to imagine what is happening in this storyline. And like Murph said, at the core of it is quite simple, but we're not going to tell everything.
I mean, that's true of, like, you know, the best books and the best theatre and the best films. They don't tell you everything. They don't hold your hand throughout the entire story. They leave you something to go away and think about. Not all films. A lot of films feel like they need to tell you every last thing, so you go away and think of nothing. But that's not what we're really interested in. We want people to kind of not be able to let something go that they've seen or heard. And that's when your imagination starts to fill in the blanks, you know. And I think that's, you know, it's so common in other media, but for games, it's only just...
That's common in horror games as well.
Yeah.
You know, you can never imagine what people would think about everything you put in the game.
Yeah, it's really important, I think, that, you know, it's such an engaging, the most engaging medium of all games. And yet we don't engage people as much as we should, you know. When you're so active in a game, your brain should be active as well. And I think that's something that we've always been really, really passionate about. And we always will. Every game we make will always be asking people to meet us somewhere in the middle.
So now one last question. We have talked a lot about every aspect of the game, right? But if you have, like, let's say, some short words to describe the game for non-gamers or for gamers who are not familiar with Tarsier Studios, what would you say about the game that will attract them to buy the game?
Well, we like our games to actually be very simple to play. So I think for non-gamers, I think it's a really, really nice gateway game. If you want to realize that horror games don't have to be something gory or grotesque or downright, you know, disturbing, all of which can be true in our games as well. There's a horror for everyone, I believe. And it's super important that anyone can pick up a controller and play our games and get something out of them. So we don't really like to put barriers up for people. we believe that the kind of games we make are the kind of games, if anyone wants to take a chance, they're going to get a lot out of it.
The reason why I asked the question, because with local co-op games, there are chances for non-gamers to play the game as well, because in the family might be one gamer and maybe the wife would not play the game so much, but we need 2 people, so there might be a lot of non-gamers that will play the game. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, I mean, people have played our single player games in co-op anyway. There's always someone saying, no, over there. And that's why we started to think about this, like, there's no co-op horror out there, and people are doing it anyway with our games, so why not give them that chance to actually play together if they want to, so.
And I think we can end the interview here, but one last thing, do you want to say anything to our Vietnamese audience that are watching the videos?
I hope you will enjoy what you see from the trailers that we've shown so far. A demo will be out pretty soon on Steam, so please try that out. We hope you enjoy what we've made.
Thank you for doing the interview with us. It's our pleasure.
Ngoài ra các bạn hãy đăng ký trở thành hội viên của Phá Đảo. Điều này sẽ giúp chúng tôi tiếp tục sản xuất những nội dung báo chí gaming chuyên nghiệp ở Việt Nam, như trên tay game preview sớm, đánh giá review game trước ngày phát hành, hay thậm chí là phỏng vấn độc quyền nhà phát triển game và hơn thế nữa. Hãy đăng ký ngay hôm nay. Xin cảm ơn.